Welcome to the Spectrum Stitch Crochet Swoncho. We are tackling chart number 2, and in this video I want to talk briefly about what you can expect with chart number 2 and what you want to be careful of as you're going through this. So let's go ahead and look right over here. So what you are looking at here is the chart number 2 for the Spectrum Stitch Swoncho. You can see here that we have only one color showing for round number 1 and for round number 5. So yes, you will be using only one color on those rounds. So I do want to caution you, you need to be very careful about your gauge and make sure that it does not get too tight on those rounds, okay? I find that the one color rounds are the ones I have to be most careful with, okay? The following rounds, 2, 3, 4, we are going to be changing colors, but you will also notice that there is a long path that your float has to go along before you use it again. So for example, on round number 2, there are 5 purple stitches and then it's 1 of the gray. And then we will do 5 purple and then 1 of the gray. So that means the gray, that float has to go behind all of those 5 purples before we use it again on the gray. So you have to be very careful that you are not pulling that float too tight. Do not pull that float too tight because it will not stretch, okay? You have to be very careful you're not pulling it too tight. And the next thing is when you get to round 3, you want to make sure as you're working across those stitches, those 5 purple stitches, you are not working around that float from round 2. You will not work around the floats ever throughout the whole project. We talked about this when we were talking about chart number 1, but you always just want to do your split single crochet into your stitches, but do not work around your floats. You want those to be free and loose, you know, as far as they're not like tied into a stitch. They're all behind your work. And it's very important that you do that. Okay. You will also notice as we go along, when we get to round 4, instead of having 5 stitches that are purple we're going across, we will have 5 of the gray, and then the purple has to go across those 5 gray. Same thing. You want to make sure that you do not pull that float too tight. So now that we've taken a look at the chart and I've given you a couple of things to make sure that you're being careful of that you look for, let's take a look at the sample itself and see what I am talking about as far as what the float should look like. Okay, taking a look at our sample here, you can see this was my chart number 1, and I have my floats nice and uniform, and they just look very consistent around the whole piece. And I did not work around my floats. I kept them all, you know, individual outside of the stitches. Same thing applies as we look down here at chart number 2. Of course, we're looking at the back side, but you can see I did not make these floats as they transition behind the stitches very tight at all. They all have a little bit of give. You can see they have a little bit of stretch to them, because if I had made them tight, they would have turned out like this one that we talked about, where I don't have any give. I have no give on these floats, and they're all way too tight. You can see on here also that I had worked around a float on these ones. You see that? Like I would grab a float every now and again. Let's see if I can, like I have another one right here. I worked through some over here. Like it became too bulky. And like we talked about after chart number 1, I have no give here. And these stitches ended up being too tight, which made me have to start over, which was a good thing. But what you're aiming for are stitches that are very uniform. They're all the same gauge, so make sure that you do pull out your gauge swatch to test it. But you want to make sure your floats are nice and even and not too tight, okay? So I'm looking at as if it's this way, but this is how you would be looking at yours, right? This would be, you're looking at yours going like this. So this is how we want them to look, okay? You see that? You see how that is? Okay. So that is for round 2. You want your stitches to look really nice. And on the opposite side, you should have stitches that are the same size as the ones you completed after chart number 1. And you should have some give, some nice elasticity, and your fabric should have some really nice drape to it. Okay. So that is what you're going for as you tackle chart number 2. Go have fun. Make sure you share with me on social media all of your pictures. I am loving all of the colors you guys are using. It is very, very exciting, and I can absolutely feel the excitement that you are feeling as you work on your project. All right, so that's it for me, everybody. Marley Bird, your By Crafty Bestie. Go have fun with chart number 2, and I'll see you at chart number 3.